You wouldn't think anybody would ever do something like that. Or a set of longhorn horns. I know Ty's daddy had a set, and they were tremendous. They were big old boys. And somebody came along and took them. And that was a treasure to him, but it was a treasure to them. The sad thing is, we see those things and we wonder, why did they do that? Well, the devil put that thing in their heart. The devil put that thing in their mind. James tells us when a person thinks in his heart, then he will have an opportunity. When he acts upon that opportunity, that lust, it becomes an action, and then he goes on with it to the point where it becomes a lifestyle. When it becomes a lifestyle with no repentance and no remission of that sin, then it overtakes him. It becomes a sin unto death, and he dies with that sin, and it separates him from God. David was one of those men who messed up. He looked out there and he saw that shiny coin in the form of Bathsheba. And that was not his, but he chose to take it. It was a poor decision to be where he was at. It was a poor decision to do what he did. But the devil puts all those things in people's hearts and in people's minds. And the devil is thinking the whole time, he says, well, God says that he's going to send one through the lineage of David, through the lineage of Abraham. He's going to send one who's going to save the world. And the devil is thinking that, here's one, David, that if I can stop him, I can stop that lineage. I can stop that one from coming, Jesus Christ. And it did not happen. That's because God is a loving God. God is a forgiving God. But David was a penitent person. He saw what he had done and he repented of it and he asked for that forgiveness. He knew he was weak. Now, he knew he was strong. He knew he was strong enough to go up against Goliath. He knew that he had fought bears and he'd fought lions, and he was not fearful of them, that God had taken care of him through those situations. He knew his abilities, but he knew his God. And he knew where he sat there in his presence, that God would take care of him. Past experience aids us in seeing how we're going to deal with current conditions. You see people and you see a group of people and you see trouble. And trouble breaks out and you see people run, you see people fall out, and you see people head toward the trouble. And you kind of realize pretty quick when it comes down to surviving, some of us need to run. And some of us have no choice but to fall out. That's just the way our bodies react. And some people have to stand up and go toward the trouble to end the trouble. So we see the different reactions to those things, but after once or twice, you realize how you are going to react to these situations. And we can all look back and see how God has taken care of us in these terrible times, in these hard times, in these troubled times. And that allows us then, in looking back and seeing what God has done for us, to look forward and to plead with God, ask God, beg God to help us in the future. You say, well, why do I need to ask God to help me in the future when everything's going good right now? Well, that's the time. That's the time when you really need to seek the Lord. It's when everything is going great, when everything is just wonderful, when your health is good, your family is good, your finances are good, everything is good. That's when you need to get down on your knees and be seeking the Lord. Thank Him. Thank Him for your situation in life and beg Him to continue to help you, because the devil is saying, he's right there. He's right there on the edge of that cusp of that fall. He's ready to turn himself over to me. He's counting on himself. He's relying on himself, and he thinks that he did all this on his own, and I'm going to get him. And that's what the devil wants. So we look to the past and see what we need to beg for and ask for in the future. David knew certain things. In 1 Samuel 17, verse 46, this day will the Lord deliver you into my hand, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. That was when he faced the giant, Goliath. This day. And it wasn't about him. His brothers kind of teased him and said, you go back to your little sheep and be your little shepherd boy. And he said, well, you're a soldier. Why don't you stand up and defend the Lord's honor, defend God's purpose to these people, and show these heathens, these unbelievers, how great the true and living God is. And they were fearful. They wouldn't do it. Trained their whole lives to be military men, to be soldiers. David had never trained for that, but he had trained in a better way, a more particular way, a way of being a servant of God, of being dependent upon the Lord. In Psalm 13 and verse 1, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Now, David has just said earlier in his life that I know you're going to help me, Lord, and I know you're going to kill this giant. And now he's saying, how long are you going to stay away from me, Lord? How long are you going to forsake me? So he's way up here in his faith, and he believes in God, and he kills Goliath. And later, even after that, he's way down here in his faith. And he's saying, God, where are you? How am I going to make it without you, God? Now, where is God? He's everywhere, all the time. God is not right up here and right down there and moving around. God is everywhere, all the time. Where was he at when David fought Goliath?